In June of 1978, search teams opened the door of a small forest trailer deep in the mountains of Northern California. Inside, they found a man lying in a bed. He was wrapped tightly in several blankets. Investigators would later determine that he had survived there for weeks. But almost immediately, something about the scene didn't make sense. Inside the trailer were military food rations, enough supplies to keep someone alive for months. Yet most of the food had never been opened, and the heater inside the trailer had never been turned on, which meant this man had slowly starved to death inside a shelter surrounded by food. And that raised a chilling question. How did he end up here? To understand that, we need to go back 4 months.
This is Kryptic Works. Tonight, we reopen Yuba County 5 incident. Let's explore.
On February 24, 1978, 5 friends left their hometown of Yuba City, California. Their names were Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Ted Wire, Jackie Hewitt, and Gary Mathias. The 5 of them loved basketball. In fact, the next morning, they were scheduled to play in a regional tournament. They had even packed their uniforms in the car. That night, the group drove about 50 miles to Chico State University to watch a college basketball game. Friends later said they were extremely excited. The night went exactly as planned. They watched the game. Afterward, they stopped at a convenience store. The clerk later remembered them buying milk, candy bars, and soda. Then around 10 p.m., they left, heading home. Or at least, that was the plan. Yuba City was about an hour south of Chico, but for some reason, the group never drove south. Instead, they drove northeast, into the mountains, nearly 70 miles in the wrong direction. Investigators later retraced the drive, and what makes this even stranger is that along the way, the group passed several places where they could have easily turned around. Gas stations, major intersections, even a police station. But they didn't turn around. They kept driving, deeper into the mountains, into an area none of them were familiar with, almost as if they were following something or someone. 4 days later, search teams located the group's car. It was sitting on a narrow mountain road in Plumas National Forest. This location confused investigators immediately. This road wasn't on the way home, and it wasn't somewhere people normally traveled at night. But the car itself made even less sense. It wasn't damaged, it wasn't stuck, and it still had fuel. Inside the car were the empty snack wrappers from the convenience store. Everything suggested the group had arrived there safely, but the 5 friends themselves were gone. No footprints, no signs of a struggle. Just an empty car, sitting alone in the mountains. A man named Joseph Shawns contacted investigators. He said that on the same night the group disappeared, he had been driving through that exact mountain area. His car became stuck on the road. While he was waiting for help, he claimed he saw something unusual. In the distance, he saw several figures walking along the road. At first, he assumed they were helping someone, because he also noticed headlights from another vehicle parked farther up the road. But when investigators later searched the area, There was no sign of another vehicle, and no evidence anyone else had been there. Shanz's story was never fully confirmed. But if it was true, the Yuba County Five may not have been alone on that road. In June of 1978, almost 4 months later, a group of motorcyclists exploring the forest made a discovery. Deep in the mountains, they found an old Forest Service trailer. Inside the trailer was Ted Wire. But the scene raised disturbing questions. Ted had survived for weeks, yet inside the trailer were military ration packs, enough food to keep someone alive for months. Most of them had never been opened, and the heater inside the trailer had never been turned on. Gary Mathias had served in the U.S. Army. He was the only member of the group with military training. Investigators believe Gary may have been the one guiding the others through the mountains. But Gary Mathias was never found. No confirmed trace of him has ever been discovered. No body, no clothing, nothing. Even today, Gary Mathias remains missing. Over the years, investigators have proposed several explanations. Some believe the group may have simply become lost while trying to take a shortcut home. Others think they may have followed another vehicle into the mountains by mistake. But those explanations still leave many questions unanswered. Why abandon a perfectly working car? Why walk miles into the freezing wilderness? And why ignore the food and heater inside the trailer? Because of these unanswered questions, stranger theories began to appear. Some locals claimed they had seen strange lights moving through the mountains at night. Others pointed to a phenomenon known as the third man effect. In extreme survival situations, people sometimes report sensing a mysterious presence guiding them, a voice, a companion, someone who isn't really there. Could the group have experienced something like that in the mountains? Or did something far stranger happen that night? No one knows. This has been Kryptic Works. Some mysteries fade with time. Others only grow stranger. And sometimes the mountains keep their secrets.